What's up, guys, and welcome back to SCUM. Now, I'm going to apologize first and foremost that this video is going up late. We were preoccupied this weekend, and then when we got home on Sunday, to where I could actually record, some pretty major storms rolled in, and our power kept flickering and whatnot, so needless to say, I was not able to record the video when I really needed or wanted to record it. So I'm recording it first thing Monday morning. So that's why it's going up late. Anywho, I wanted to show you guys a couple of things. Also, I'm a little confused. Jog my memory, guys. Did we have a jacket of some kind? Because the only thing I'm finding that we have is this firefighter jacket and a Ray Kit hoodie. I was thinking we had a trucker jacket or something, didn't we? And didn't we also have a bunch of needles for making sewing kits, or no? Am I thinking of my multiplayer character? I don't know. That's the problem with doing a single player character and a multiplayer character, is I get them confused. But anyway, I feel like we're missing stuff, is my point. And that's kind of frustrating. I don't know if we actually are or not, but I feel like we are. Anywho, I managed to figure out some stuff on this. You know, my whole issue with walling this off was I didn't like the foundations. They didn't look right, and they were difficult to place because of the terrain. And I kept wanting to just, well, why can't I put a wall here? You know, just a wall without a foundation. Well, I can. I just use perimeter walls. And that made this so much easier. So I just did a perimeter wall at either end, and I can do those wherever the heck I want them. Yeah, I can't build on top of them, so you can't fully wall that off, but that's okay. They look good. I can put the door where I want the door, and then I can angle the walls the way I want them. Now, when I first did this, I then tested it with the rain to see just how well this rock formation does in the rain. And it does not protect you from the rain at all. Like, not even a little bit. It was raining just as hard in here throughout the entire thing as it does outside. Which was frustrating, because one of the reasons I really liked this spot was, hey, you have this nice big rock formation that you can use as a, pre-made shelter. No, not even close. It provided absolutely no shelter whatsoever. So that's a bit disappointing. However, what I was able to do is I was able to go up here, and I have fall damage turned off for the moment just so that I can show you guys this stuff a little bit easier. But what I was able to do, because there's no foundations down below now, that seemed to be bugging the foundations up here. Because there's no foundations down below, I was able to put essentially a 3x3 foundation up here. Now that one doesn't quite fit, it's off slightly because it's higher, but actually that one, same thing. Now in theory I could try destroying the rest of these and raising them up to that height, and I may try doing that at some point. That one's one higher as well, isn't it? Yep, we'll see. And on this end, it does okay. It gets, you can see where our wall is down there. It does a pretty good job. This other end did not quite get us where we needed it to, so we had this extra one kind of cattywampus here because it could not connect with this and still be, able to be placed. So it's kind of shimmied in here. I'm surprised it let me do this because technically those are overlapping. It's technically overlapping, I think, with both of these, but that's okay. It let me do it, so that's okay. It looks fugly, but whatever. Now, I don't know if we want to try actually building anything up here or not. Because in theory, we could go ahead and, put some, like, I don't know, like some half walls or something like that. Let's see, what do we got? Something like these. Can we even put those up here? Yeah, we can. So we could do that, and then potentially put, like, a roof of some kind over that, just kind of a platform to where we could have kind of a little observatory up here, I suppose. So we can do that. And then I'm still trying to decide how to build to get up here. Because I don't think that we can have... Yeah, that doesn't fit there. Let's see. Can we ever get it to where it does? No. Okay. That's what I thought. Alrighty then. Well, in theory, we can just kind of climb up the side of the rock like we did over here. Getting down is the tricky part. You got to kind of take it slow, but it's certainly doable. Now, maybe we could build a platform down here just to make this starting bit a little bit easier, because this right here is a little narrow. So we might be able to build a platform there to kind of get us up a bit. And then just attach that to the dock. We'll see. I'll come up with something. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions. And let me know if you think this is even still a good idea. Because I gotta be honest with you, as much of a pain in the ass as it's been to actually make this shelter, or this rock formation, into a usable shelter, it's kind of souring me on the idea of this place just a little bit. I still like this. It's still nice and cozy. And we can still definitely do stuff in here. We can put beds and storage and all of that fun stuff in here. Or we could, use this as just a little workshop or just for storage. It might actually work well as just kind of storage. And then we could still build, right out here. Build a little cabin, just right out here in this little clearing that would kind of connect into that. Or possibly, build something right in that little spot. Or potentially out here somewhere, although we're limited out here because we've got to save room for the truck. But let me know what you guys think we ought to do here, or if you think that we even should still build here. Because what I want to do today is take you guys around to a couple of different places that I've kind of been eyeballing as alternate base locations. Now, one of them you guys already know, and that would be this little cabin here. So let's go ahead and just get over there. Let's see here. And I am just using the SCUM admin helper to teleport around for this particular exercise. Especially since we're already running late on the video. So, yeah. That also saves me a lot of editing. So, first spot would be this cabin here. I still really like this cabin. I love the feel of this spot. Just it being surrounded by woods, but it's still being on this nice main road here. Relatively centrally located. My biggest issue with this spot is there's no source of fresh water. Yes, we could dig a well, set up rain collectors, etc. But the reason I like building on lakes or near rivers or whatever is for the source of fish. And you don't have that here. Now, we might be able to do some decent hunting out here, I don't know. But one thing that I liked about this spot is there's a little hiking trail over here. And it just kind of winds into the woods a little bit. Not too far. But it brings you over here to this rock formation. And, let's see. Oh, I didn't bring a flashlight. Well, shoot. I don't think we have one on the pistol either, do we? No, we don't. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Anyway, there's a little cave here. I do have a lighter. Can I just use that for a source of light? No. Okay, can we make a torch? Just a handheld torch. That would suffice. I mean, realistically, it's probably not dark enough in here that we really need it, but it's just kind of one of those things. I don't see a just handheld torch, unfortunately. But we could just build a small fire in there if we need to. Anyway, I don't know that we're even going to bother with that. I think you guys can see it well enough right now. It's not a big cave. You know, this is it. It's just kind of... This would make for a really nice, just little starter base shelter, you know, where you don't need a whole lot of space. But it's just kind of cool. My thought would be, if we use that cabin as a base, is we could use this as maybe kind of just a little, I don't know, storage area. Could possibly keep, you know, some hunting supplies, you know, change of clothing, ghillie suit. The hell? Did you guys hear the puppet? Or am I hearing things? I swear I heard a puppet. Well, in the event that we did, let's, Yep, I did hear a puppet. Where are you? I hear multiple puppets. There's one of them. Okay, well, was not really planning to do any puppet hunting, but that's okay. Especially since we need the bone needles, apparently. Give me my arrows back, please. Thank you. So I do hope you guys can see well enough in here. With the trees being thicker now, you know, when you're in the woods, it's actually considerably darker, I feel like, than it used to be. Yeah. Garbage condition, and I really don't want them. We actually have a proper chopping implement, though, since we have the cleaver. Speaking of proper implements, one of you said that using the axe to cut down trees and whatnot builds your skills faster than using the chainsaw. So, why can't I not... Why can't I... Make a... Just make a bone needle. Why can I not make a bone needle out of you? The hell? Okay, I had to select the cleaver this time. Alrighty then, that's fine, whatever. Anywho, I don't know how many logs we get from doing that, but we might just do that from now on rather than using the chainsaw. So for any building that we do, we may just use the axe. I would be okay with that. Hey, you'll actually fit right there just perfectly. Let's see. You know, we'll put the sewing kit right there. Why did you not go in the thing? Okay. Anywho. So this cabin here is one other option for another base. I like it because it is on this road, so it's pretty easy for us to get to. It's still centrally located, so it's close to a lot of decent stuff. I mean, there's a fuel station over here. We got the airfield. We got the city up here. We're still kind of in between these two traders, you know. So we got still some decent stuff that we can get to without having to go too far. Now, there's another cabin right over in about here that I also like. One of you suggested it, so let's go check it out. Okay, so here's this one. Now, this one's a lot more remote. There's no roads getting to it. You can't even tell that it's here on the map. Okay, I guess it's here, not here. But either way, you know, there's no road to get to it. So we would have to have a marker here. So we'd have to put down a bed to have it marked on the map so that I could still get here. I really wish that we could just mark the map. You know, that would be a good use for all the pins that we find all over the island. But, no, this one also still doesn't really have a source of fresh water at the cabin. I don't think, unless it had a pump out the back here. No. Okay. But this one does have a stream back this way. It's a little bit of a hike to get to it. There it is. So it's a little bit of a hike. Now, if we have a vehicle, it's not too bad. Through here, something like the quad would be really nice. You know, that would get around a lot easier in places like this than the Rager. So you do have a stream. Now, you're not going to catch any fish out of these. At least to my knowledge, you're not going to catch fish out of them. So, that it's a little bit kind of iffy, I guess. Also, now how do you get back? You know, it's a bit hard to find your way back. Now, we do it a few times, and, you know, that'll get easier, but the whole point is I would prefer the other cabin over this one, just from the standpoint of convenience. Not even sure if I'm going quite the right direction. But you see, this is why this one's a bit of a problem. Because it's just from the standpoint of finding your way around. That's a rock. That's not the cabin. So, yeah, I've already gone too far. So, this one's a little bit of a inconvenience. You know, there's going to be a learning curve to this one. But it's not too bad. I do still like it. It's very secluded, which I like. I need to go south. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to bother just running through the woods endlessly trying to find our way back to this cabin. But you can see the issue with this one. Anywho, back over to this cabin real quick. Just because, I didn't want to be in the floor. Okay, thank you. I'm still disappointed that all of these cabins have the broken stoves and ovens. That's unfortunate. But one thing I like with this cabin, you get free logs already. And you get this kind of little unfinished little wood shed type thing out the back here that we could use for possible storage. You know, and an old broken down greenhouse. I don't know if we can put garden plots in there or not. Well, I mean, obviously we can't right now because we don't have a flag up. But I love the feel of this spot. So, that's an option. Now, there's another cabin. I believe it's that right there. You guys may remember that one from the 28 Hours Later series. That right there is actually where Bill and Tommy ended up. That's where they were living when we ended the series. So let's see if we can't get there. Okay. Now, they've remodeled this cabin quite a bit. Now, there were puppets here last time I came through. And there's several hiking trails through here to get to this cabin. It's still a little awkward to get to by vehicle, but it's certainly doable. Now, like I said, they've modified this cabin considerably. It doesn't quite have the porch like I wanted. But you do have some free planks here. You've got a hydrant for a free source of water. And then this area, they changed quite a bit. I don't know if we might be able to kind of build on top of some of this to where we could essentially enclose this back in. But it's a nice little secluded spot. Now, the issue with it is they changed the cabin itself. It's no longer just a cabin. It's now a little bar. So that's really unfortunate. This counter in the middle of the room makes things really awkward. You can still fit a bed over along here or something. But the rest of it is just, I don't know. I don't like it nearly as well as I did before. So I don't really think we're going to go with this one. Hey, while we're here, I want to check. We could use some feathers. Because I would like to try my hand at making some better arrows. Okay. Well, point is, I don't really think we're going to go with this one after kind of getting a second look at it. But it is an option. Now, there's one cabin up here that I did a very brief base on the multiplayer server. Not quite a year ago, I guess. But it's... Well, let me just show you. It's still one of the regular cabins, you know, so it's got the nice porch. It's still nice and cozy on the inside, still broken oven, unfortunately. I wish that we could use these wardrobes as storage, because realistically you would, but, you know. Anywho. Got a road right up that way. It's a very windy, kind of awkward road, so it's not great access from that road. The better way is actually to just go down this hill and kind of skirt along the river over to this road. But you're just across the river from the dam, which actually you could technically get to the dam from this side, I guess. We're right close to the city, and we're right here next to the river. Something else it has, though, I mean, you've got room that you could build if you wanted to. I did build. I didn't actually use the cabin as the base last time. I came over to this hill here, and I started kind of building my base off this hill to where I could have one level of the base kind of level with the terrain here, and then a basement down that way. But it's got a hunting tower, which I liked. I think I ended up trying to put something down here. I think they changed the terrain a bit for this too, though. This was flatter, if memory serves. So I think I had tried putting in a garden or something down here. Anywho, had a pretty nice view from up here. But it is a royal pain in the ass to get up here just on foot. But you can see the river right down there. So we'd have access to fresh water and fishing, but you would absolutely need a vehicle to do it. Which would, that's fine. We have a vehicle. But this one also kind of has its inconveniences. It's just the remoteness of it is really nice. A concern I have with this one is with it being right here at the snow line. I don't know how well a garden is going to do here. I really don't know. I also don't know, in terms of water, how well a well does here. Because, yeah, in theory, you'd get plenty of, water running down from there and soaking into the ground to where you should still have decent amount of water here. But we're also still up on top of a hill quite a bit. So I don't know how effective a dug well would be here. If you guys know on that regard, let me know. Because I do really like this spot. It's still not the most convenient spot. Now, there is another spot. I don't really, okay, there's a couple more areas I was, in theory, looking at. I think I've kind of ruled out one of them, and that would be this little town up here. It's not the town itself. There's a lake right about here. And I built a base at that lake before. And I loved that spot. I did. There's something about that spot that I loved. So let's go check it out real quick and kind of show you guys what I'm thinking on it. This little town up here, I don't know if they've changed anything with it, but it I don't know. I didn't like it nearly as well. I think it's got a church at the very end over here. But I liked this spot because of the lake. So let's go check it out. Okay. So we got this nice little lake here. And I just built a cabin, a pretty decent sized place actually right over here, because you got this nice big open flat area. And so this works really well if you want to build as opposed to just take over a pre-existing building. Now the road is just kind of right on the other side of the lake there. And if you guys remember, or those of you that saw the video, I had built a bridge across here. Now, they've added a little fence here that makes that a little bit more awkward, and this rock formation. So I don't know if that would still be particularly viable, because my bridge was basically where this rock formation is. But, like I say, got the road right here. And then you got this nice little town. I see some friendos up there. And this place looks a lot different now. It's so much more kind of overgrown and just rural looking. It's really, really nice. I'm still just in awe at the way they've improved the map. But that doesn't really matter because we just brought the vehicle in from over here and just drive it around to there. So that works. But, like I said, I've already done a base here. And while it's a very nice location, and I loved it, I'm not sure that I want to do the base in a location that I've already done, So, there's one more spot that I'm really interested in. So, you guys, we've got this little private island here, and it's nice. But I took a little trip out to this island here. What if we just had our own whole private island rather than a little bitty one in this lake here? Now, the little one in the lake works because you can still get to it just with a car. This one, obviously, we would not be able to get to with a car, so we would have to use a boat or a seaplane to get to it, and then have a vehicle on the land somewhere. Now, there's obviously a couple little, there's some beaches and coves and whatnot around here that we could certainly use. That island is also very close to the naval base, which there may be a seaplane spawn over there. That's where they used to spawn, if memory serves. Well, not my memory. It's I think we found one over there on the Wolfpack server. Anywho, I've never done a base down south though, so that would be interesting. But you're also not far from, say, the motocross track, so you should be able to find, in theory, vehicle repair kits, stuff like that. You've got the salt ponds over here, which I've never really done too much with. Got the train yard, torpedo factory. You got a trader right here. You got this whole town. My point is doing this, doing a base down here, we could spend a lot of time just hitting this south island, which I don't do very much of. I also thought about this island over here, but it's too populated. There's a town here. This island just has a lighthouse. But it has, you can see on the map here, it's got a couple nice beaches. So, let's go check it out, and you guys can see why I like it. Obviously, it has the drawback of requiring a boat. But let's go check it out. Okay. So, here we are at the lighthouse. And what I may do for this, just for exploring this island, is spawn in a bicycle or something like that. If there's not one here anyway. There, in theory, could be one here, I guess. I don't know if there's actually any vehicle spawns here in terms of something like that. There's not. But hi. Why are you guys here? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now, obviously, these guys are... bit of a problem right now. But once we put a flag down, they wouldn't be. Because they're only going to spawn around this lighthouse. There's nothing else on this island for them to spawn around. So they're only going to spawn at the lighthouse. But you've got a nice little storage shed here. Doesn't really matter too much. But we have a hydrant for fresh water, in theory. We have a nice little building over here. I wish that it had a workbench, but we could add a workbench. We could build one in here and then use this building as a small workshop. This one doesn't offer much, but we could use it for storage in theory. We've got some olive trees, which actually I could probably use a little bit of food. Now, the lighthouse itself, I actually love. Hang on, let me see if there's a bicycle around here. There is not. Drat. Now, realistically, I would like to have a quad on this island. The problem is, I can pretty well guarantee there's no quad spawns on this island, and I'm not really seeing a way that we could feasibly bring a quad over here. You know, because we had talked about this before, where if it's something that you could feasibly do in reality, that you should be able to do, but can't, because it's not implemented in SCUM yet, like tow a boat across the land, you know, to take it from a river or the ocean over to a lake, you know, we could do that, or throw a bicycle in the back of a pickup truck or something like that. You know, do that. Destroy the vehicle there, respawn a new vehicle at the destination, because it's something that you should be able to do but can't. I don't know how we'd get a quad over here, because the only boats we currently have are the little small fishing boats, and you're not going to get a quad into one of those. You could, feasibly though, throw a bicycle into that. So that's an option. I would like the quad because it has inventory space. So getting stuff from, you know, one of the marinas to up here. I say marinas, that it's little beach coves that have small docks. But these lighthouses look a lot more cozy now. You know, we've got a kitchen here. Still broken fridge and broken oven and stove, unfortunately. So that sucks. But we could bring in a fridge. We have a fridge. I don't remember if we have stoves or not, but we can find stoves pretty easily. Point is, we can make this into a kitchen. It actually has a really nice bedroom. For whatever reason, this bed looks comfortable to me. I'm not sure why. It needs to be cleaned, but it actually looks like it would be reasonably comfortable. And then this just kind of comes into a little lounge area that you can use to get up on top of the little round tower-ish thingies. My brain's not working. Got a large bathroom over here. Not that we can really use these for anything, but it'd be kind of cool if you could use the showers, though. We talked about that on the live stream, you know, that we need to have a way for our character to bathe, not just be able to wash our clothing and stuff. But anyway, we got this little area up here that you could use for storage. And then I don't really care too much, honestly, about the lighthouse towers, or, you know, the actual tower itself. It doesn't provide a whole lot of real usefulness. Oh, now you're warm, huh? Okay, well, do that then. But it is kind of nice. Just having a view. It's just a pain having to get up all these stairs. It makes my knees hurt. And yeah, you can't use those to get up into there and get blinded by that. But there's really nothing up here. But you do have a really nice view. Got a really nice view. Now, have fall damage turned off, so we're just going to get down a little bit faster. Hey, we're good. I only broke my ankles a little bit. Now, I think it was over... Which direction was it? I don't know. You can't see it now that we're not up on top of the tower. Anyway, there was another island. I think it's that one there. I tried checking it out. It's nothing special. I don't like it nearly as well. But there is a pathway down to this beach over here. And when I checked it out before with a different character, there was a boat already down here, which was handy. I don't know if there will be for us this time. There's not. Of course not. Why would there be? But you could build down here into this cove if you really wanted to. You know, build out over the water so that you could fish that way if you wanted to do that. Oh, well, we got a little surfboard here. What I don't get with these is why can I not just pick it up and put it in the water? I can't, you have to nudge it. You can't pick it up. And that's kind of frustrating. But anyway. You know what? Just for the purposes of this, we're going to spawn us in a vehicle. I will destroy it afterwards. Oops. You know what? For this... We're just going to do that. Like I said, we're not keeping this. I will destroy this after we're done with the tour here. Where was the pathway? This way. It's harder to see when it's in shadow, but... But so we got the lighthouse and all the stuff that it has to offer. I love the fact that it has an actual road. Yeah, it's a dirt road, but it makes the island feel better, I guess. I don't really know how to describe it, but I would love to actually live on this island. You know, you have this whole place to yourself. It's big enough that having a vehicle to get around is still practical. No boat down at this one either, huh? That's unfortunate. So we do have another little nice big coves, actually. Again, could build down on these. But we have... Hey, there's a boat. Would you look at that with your eyes? We have these proper fishing piers down here. You know, you could use these for getting... You know, for fishing. There's an actual boat ramp. So, might be able to even get, like, the, well, you wouldn't even need that. Just use the beach over here to land the seaplane. You know? But this island is plenty big enough. I mean, it's... You could live on this island and not really need a whole lot else. You know, you see you got some aloe plants if you need burn gel. I don't know if animals spawn on this island or not, but it being an island, you have unlimited fishing opportunities. Plenty of little beach coves. I love the whole feeling of this island because I've wanted to do an island base for a while. That's why I chose the little island in the middle of the lake. But I'm starting to see the limitations with that island. It's not working out quite as well as I had hoped it would. So I'm trying to decide if I still want to build there or not. This one would give us a whole lot of opportunities. Now, the only drawback, and it is a major drawback, unfortunately, is that you would have to use a boat or a seaplane to get here. Now, the seaplane, I checked the inventory. You cannot put chests in the seaplane. You can put 3 hiking backpacks plus some extra stuff. So we could still get loot across to here using a seaplane. Or you could use a boat. And the boats you can put 1 chest plus a little bit extra in. I think we're back to the cove that's by the lighthouse now. Yeah. See, I just love the idea of this island as a private island. So much more than the other one. Now, a thought that I had with this one, if we don't want to do this island this season, this island would be perfect for a base in another 28 hours later series. You know, a little bit more roleplay type series where the idea is that, you know, Tech 1 doesn't really matter too much. It's not the game show that we have with the SCUM lore. It's basically a zombie apocalypse. An island like this would be ideal. Because, you know, again, once you put the flag down, there shouldn't be any puppets that spawn here. You would be completely isolated from all of the bad stuff that's going on the mainlands. You know, in theory, there wouldn't be any puppets on the island. And as far as I know, NPCs can't get out here, although I suppose it's possible that they could. But again, once you build a flag here, there shouldn't really be any reason for them to spawn out here. But point is, you would be very isolated while still having a very large area that you could use for, you know, self-sustainment. And so it would be perfect for that. So I'm okay with not doing a base here this season if you guys would want to save it for something like that. Because it makes a lot of sense in that scenario. I just really like it. And I don't know if you can hear it in the background. My cat is scratching on his little scratchy thingy. But anyway, those are kind of the options that I'm looking at for alternate base locations. Now, I don't know what all there might be over here. I think that's a little airfield or airport or whatever. I don't necessarily want to just, you know, get onto one of these coves and just build. You know, If I'm going to build on the water, I would rather it be on a lake or a river, just me personally, because building on the water, I want a source of fresh water, and you don't get that with the coast. Whereas we do have the little hydrant here for this, and presumably we're far enough off the coast that putting in a well and rain catchers and whatnot would get us water. I hope that they add a way for us to distill water so that we can, you know, desalinate seawater. That would be really handy. But, anywho, I have also looked at like the lighthouse down here. I like that island from the standpoint of it has a bridge, so you can just drive a vehicle to it. It's still pretty isolated. We could even fortify the bridge. And it doesn't really have anything else on it either, although there is a cave on that island. I don't remember if it's very good or not. But, anywho, I've kind of bounced around to all the different islands that there are. And this one is by far my favorite. So if we wanted to do a proper island base at some point, this would be a good one to do. So, right now, those are kind of the other options that I'm considering. So we have like the little cabin here, which I like. I'm not crazy about this cabin. It doesn't offer anything over this one, aside from the stream. But it's far enough away that you'd need to take a vehicle anyway, so you could just take a vehicle from this cabin over to the stream if you wanted to use that stream. Could also even just go up to the castle and get water out of the moat up there. You know, I don't think we're going to mess with this cabin down here. I don't like the layout of it now. This one up here would still be a fun option. Just because I like the idea of it being on the river. And just the location in general, I really like. I had actually intended to make that Bill's base, at least first base, in 28 hours later. But I ended up deciding against it. I'm sure there's lots of other places that we could build. I tried going back over to the cabin that's over here on this side of the lake. You know, we've got the lake house that I really like. There's that cabin on the other side, but I don't like that cabin nearly as well. It doesn't have the porch. And I don't know. There's something about that spot that I wasn't crazy about. So, those are kind of our options for the moment. If you guys know of any other interesting locations that you'd like to see a base built at, or perhaps even just other cabin locations, let me know, because I love those little cabins, or just any cool buildings that would make for a nice cozy base. I don't really want anything big and industrial. You know, I like this lighthouse because it's set up to where somebody would actually live here. And so I really, really like that. And I just love the whole feeling of this island. But again, this might be a better place to choose for, you know, a more targeted series like the 28 Hours Later stuff. I can't think of anything else. I'm sure there's probably some cool places up here. Um, but we're already building. We have a base up here in the snow. Uh, for the multiplayer server. So I don't know that I'm really going to bother too much with up there right now. So anyway, I'm rambling and repeating myself. Let me know what you guys think on various base locations. We can certainly just stick with our little small private island in C3. If we're staying at this one, we are going to build a bridge. I've decided that we most certainly are building a bridge. Just because the only vehicle you can get across to there is the Rager, and even that's a little sketchy. And I just don't like the possibility of losing all my stuff just trying to drive over to there. So if we stick with this base location, we will be putting in a bridge. But let me know what you guys think we should do with this island if you want to keep this island as our base. Now, I can't teleport out to the island because the admin helper still doesn't recognize that there's an island there. So it just drops me underneath the island. So not really convenient. That's why we're over here. But yeah, there's some places we could build a little cabin over there if we want to do that. I'm disappointed by the rock formation. I was really hoping that we could use it a little bit better, and that it would provide a better shelter than it does. And so, since that one's not working out as well as I had hoped, it's kind of putting me off on this little island just a little bit. Now, we could do that spot to where we just put, a tent out on the island or something. We don't have to build a, big proper base. We could essentially camp on the island. I've already built all this stuff over there, walling that off, so I would still use that for at least storage or something. But I mean, we could just put a tent out, out in front of it there or something like that. And have it be a little bit more survivor shelter-ish type thing as opposed to proper base. So that's an option. But otherwise, yeah, we got all those little cabins I showed you. So we got the little cave cabin, the lost cabin over here, the little mountain cabin up. Let's see, it's not there. It's over here. Little mountain cabin up this away. I'm not going to even consider this one down here anymore. Or the big private island. Or, I guess, the little lake site up in D2. So let me know if any of those other places sound better to you than this spot. Now, I'm still perfectly fine with this spot. It's not working out the way I had envisioned it, and so it's making me frustrated with this spot. That was kind of the whole reason for this episode, is this little island. I still love the idea of it. The execution of it is what's giving me some difficulties. So let me know your guys' opinions. Oh, good, a cargo drop. I'm not going to bother going after that because this was not a proper episode. We didn't really... This was me going around showing you guys other options for base locations. Now, yes, we do have the little cabin right over there. And there is a cave up in this area over here somewhere. You know what, let's go check that out just real quick. I don't remember... Oh, actually, I do. I remember the entrance to it. Yeah. You got a nice view. You can still see the lake from here. The entrance is kind of obscured by all of this stuff. I don't remember. Yeah, it's not a big cave either, though. But it is bigger than the other one that we looked at. And this one would actually make for a decent little base. You know, you couldn't really build much in here, but you could certainly use it for storage. And, there's plenty of room to put, workbench, storage, bed, kitchen area, etc. The entrance to this one reminds me just of like one of the Horde caves from Days Gone. You know? Anywho. So technically we could try something with this spot eventually. I don't know that I want to do that as our main base right now, although I guess we could. There's no reason we couldn't. But let me know what you guys think of that. There's also some other caves that would make for some really good bases. But the caves are kind of finicky. So you got to find the right ones, and sometimes the location of the cave is good, but the layout is not, or vice versa. But anywho, I think I'm going to quit rambling because most of you are probably like, we get it. You're looking at other base spots. Great, fantastic, terrific. So anyway, let me know what your guys' opinions are on other base locations, if you think we should just stick with the island here. I know we had talked about doing just multiple bases all over the place, which we can certainly do that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think we should do currently. Should we stick with this island base out here in the middle of the lake? Or should we go somewhere else? And if we go somewhere else, where would you guys like us to go? So, with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for this video. So I will go ahead and plug all of the links in the description, as per usual. We have St. Jude's Children's Hospital and Wounded Warrior Project, both linked in the description. So if you would like to support either of those charities, go check out those links. We also have the Discord server for the Wolfpack multiplayer SCUM server, which is where I do all of my live streams. It is a PvE server. We currently have the sentries turned off, but NPCs are turned on, so you will still potentially get shot at, just not by other players. And it's just a nice, chill server. There's generally people on there that are willing to, help you get started, or just if you want to squad up with somebody, you can do that. It's just a nice, chill server. So if it sounds like something you'd like to try out, go check out that link. Make sure you read the server rules page. That will tell you the server rules, as well as most of the server settings. And if it sounds like a good fit for you, get in touch with either myself, Necros, or Cornbread. We are the admins for the server, and we can get you set up with the password. And then we have my wife's YouTube channel, where she does a variety of videos, ranging from rain and relaxation videos to comedy videos, paranormal videos, where she posts informational content on just various paranormal locations, as well as some evidence that we have captured on some of our investigations. And we do family live streams over there where we play multiplayer games like Phasmophobia and Ghost Exile. So if any of that content sounds interesting to you, go check out my wife's channel. And other than that, I have rambled long enough, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.